Thank you, Nick, and good afternoon, everyone, and welcome again to the 141st annual meeting of the First Congregational Church of Berkeley. I know because I was involved in setting up or at least mapping out the tables, that we have about 200 people here, at least 200 people, which is a lot of people, and it's in no small part due to our special guest among us, Molly and Peter is in the back. We're so glad that you are here. And thanks to everyone today for being here and being present to the important events and rituals and traditions that we have in this community, and for your commitment to this community of faith. One of the things the moderator gets to do first, thrown into service, is organize this annual meeting. The lunch is not possible without the help of so many people. I want to give a huge, huge thanks to the youth, they're in the back working, who arrived early today and set up this meal, for everyone who brought cookies and fruit, and to their leader today and point person, Emma Fuji. They were just fabulous. So, yay, you. Oh, there she is. Yay, woohoo. And she has coffee. I hope everyone has been extremely generous with the work camp offering. We left those donation bags on the table just in case you're further inspired today to leave some more. It's going to be a great service trip they're doing. And I want to say thanks to all the staff, to echo Rachel, and they've been great to work with this last year, and also our volunteer staff, Robin Kempster, she's been photographing today, and Carmel Knudsen and Kathy Hellison, I'm not sure where you are, but they are our dedicated volunteer, hardworking staff, so on a special thanks. And of course, to all the point people, I mean, we've heard their names mentioned, but Nate, Louise, Margaret, Amare, Frankie, Bruce, who did a lot of the behind-the-scenes work. And finally to Rachel for your friendship this last year as I was mentally preparing in the middle of the night sometimes for the role, this role. So just been able to talk to you and stepping in so graciously to serve as our head of staff. So about 16 months back, in the fall of 2014, our former senior minister, Patricia DeYoung, called me on the phone, and we had one of those phone conversations where I immediately thought, okay, there's going to be an ask in here somewhere. And many of you know what I'm talking about, so it was coming. She indeed called to ask me about my interest in serving as moderator this year. And it was one of those really wonderful conversations where she was helping me discern how I might serve as a lay leader in this congregation. So I have to admit that over the years, there have been times when I've said no to things, or yeah, I'll do it, but I don't want to be the chairperson, because I know that there's a lot of work involved in being a chair, or yes, I'm ready to do it. And it was just one of those times I just said yes. You know, I want to do it. I didn't even really have to think about it. It was clear at that point I'd be in the role when she was gone, and so I would be the moderator in the time that we would have a new senior minister, and we didn't know who it would be at that time. So it was, she likened it to how Barbara Adicott was the moderator when she was in her first year here. So Molly, I'm really thrilled, first, that we've been able to get to know each other a little bit over this weekend, and that your family will be here, and we're kind of starting this journey together. So around this place, we've been talking a lot about transition, and we've talked about that, and of course, there's never been a slowdown here at our church. As Nick has talked about, we've done and experienced quite a bit this last year. We said farewell to Pat. We witnessed the incredible work of our senior minister search committee, resulting in the call of Molly. We welcomed Kit in March, and she has transformed the young adult program. We've collected... This is just a smidgen of a list. We've collected weekly offerings of peanut butter and cereal. We revised our open and affirming statement. We responded affirmatively to combat global climate change by signing on to the Paris Pledge, and then we're doing things about it here in this the church facility. We've also shared stories along the way. Back in the summer, emerging leader Michelle Seppi, our emerging leader at that time, kicked off in the summer a season of storytelling. She did a sermon called Why Do We Tell Stories? And we've heard testimonies over that time by lots of folks. We heard a couple from Diana Graham and Stan Bogosian that were very moving. So I'll tell a little bit of my story, the kind of second half of my life, I guess. In 1992, having just been married, Mike and I drove across the country in his Volkswagen GTI from, you may not know this, from Somerville, Massachusetts. And yay, woohoo, Porter Square. And so we settled into our first apartment on Dwight Way in Berkeley. I started a master's program in city planning that year at UC Berkeley, and Mike began job hunting. That was successful within a few months, so it was great. We lived the next 4 years in Berkeley. We moved up to Telegraph Avenue near Russell Street. And it was in that period, 1992, 93, that we were looking for churches, and we kind of discovered FCCB, having found it kind of a bit by accident, walking in the neighborhood and finding some familiar comfort, I have to say, in the kind of steeple and the colonial architecture. So we attended on and off in those years, probably like a lot of young adults, but kept coming back to this church. There was a very welcoming feeling in that time. And at that time, there was a new senior minister. So we were very drawn to that, and I think that will happen again with our arrival of Molly. Mike and I knew we'd found a spiritual home and church family, even though our families were pretty far away. Mine was in the Midwest, and his is back east. I can say now we feel very fortunate to have been able to make a life here in California, due in great part to this place, this church. Our children, Alex and Helen, now teenagers in the back of the room. Actually, they're out here, which is nice. Were born out here, baptized. Helen was baptized here, and have been held and raised in this church family. Like many of you, I'm deeply moved by being involved in the life of the church. While worship services truly bookmark the week for me and ground me in my faith journey and help me kind of sort out the world, my sense of gratitude for FCCB, First Church, has greatly grown through being involved and serving in other aspects of the church over the years, such as teaching Sunday school early on, back in the 1990s with Bob Liness, and Joy Service to middle schoolers who are now in their 20s, late 20s, working with Milt Fuji and Adam Blondes on the Identity Task Force, participating on Rachel's search committee. I was very excited a couple of weeks ago, one of our new members, I didn't run this by her, but I'm mentioning her, Kathy Winks, was a new member, and she was being described as being really excited about being involved in pastoral care, Deckers, Children at the Border, Sanctuary Ministry, and yay. So she's gonna be busy, but this is great. So I share my story not only to describe what motivates me to engage in different ways here at First Church, but also in the hopes that we will all think about what moves us to be here week after week, what draws us in, how and where we might find places of joy and laughter or tears and solace, all of the above. Hence my theme, living fully in the present, called to serve. We have an assurance that we read responsibly each week during worship, which I consider as an assurance that in all we do, God's love is with us. This past year, we've had a theme drawn from the assurance, the new is before us, which has been used during this period of tremendous transition. And while transition is never completely over, I have a strong sense that in this next year, we've truly arrived at a place and can take stock of this present we're living in and consider ways that we might live into this time. My theme for the year draws from the next line of the assurance. We're freed to live fully in the present. The statement we read in worship every week concludes with an assurance that we're free to love as we're loved by God. So we look forward with great anticipation to your arrival, Molly, and with your family, and Peter, and Rafe, and Carmen. There's much excitement about the present we can live into with you, and the plans we'll be able to make together. And also, we have the opportunity this year to look around us in our immediate community, in this region, in our world. What is the present going on right outside these church doors? We're located in a very vibrant city. It's about 100,000 plus in Berkeley, a block away from a campus with over 30,000 students. Yeah, go Bears. We have amazing natural beauty, we have resources, we have a lot of thinking going on in this area to solve the world's most challenging issues. Yet there's tremendous need. Housing costs have spiraled out of control. We have spiraling homelessness. There's growing income inequality. There's displacement. Folks living without access to basic needs such as affordable housing, healthcare, food. As a progressive Christian church, how might we respond to this present before us? How might we serve individually or collectively? Are there families out there who might be yearning for a spiritual home where faith questions are still being explored? We don't have all the answers. God is still speaking. What more can we do as a congregation to welcome newcomers or reach them where they're at? Can we bridge divides across race, religion, and creed and create space for dialogue, developing trust and new forms of community? If something excites you about a ministry you're participating on, take the initiative and run with it, setting an example to your fellow ministry members about, leadership, and also because it might take you in a new direction or call. If there's something you've never done before, I say jump in. This might be participating in a green team event, choir, going to Fam Cheese, Meet in the Middle, which next week has this wonderful event to assemble hygiene kits for Syrian refugees happening next 10 a.m. next week. Attending Open Chapel, engaging with diversity team, participating April 3rd in the service as worship day. Details forthcoming. These are only examples to think about how we might fully live in the present called to serve. And I don't think there is any one way to serve. My aim with this year's theme is to have us intentionally connect and be attuned to what is going on around us in our lives, and to listen for where and how we might be called to serve. As moderator, I hope to work with council and the congregation to create space and opportunity for us to consider this. I think of the line from the beautiful Peace Prayer by St. Francis, "For it is in giving that we receive." I do believe that it is in serving, in whichever way we feel called to serve, that we receive God's grace. What do we hear, feel, see in our immediate lives or in the present world that is calling us to respond? Will we let the assurance of God's love enable us to listen, be present, and open our hearts and minds to where we're called? I'm filled with immense gratitude for being part of this church, and thankful for how this congregation year after year shows its commitment to being present to the life of our church and community through your giving of time, resources, and yourselves. Thank you for entrusting me to be your moderator, voting, checking off the boxes. I look forward this year to working with the council and the fellow officers, Janet, Mo, and Rod, and welcome you all to stop by and talk to me anytime, or call me, email me. It's going to be an exciting year. We can live into it fully. I'm pleased now to welcome Molly up for her first time. Thank you. To share some words.